Yan yung concept of functional medicine. You have to go to root cause. Kasi, ang tanong natin, meron bang mga root causes na identify natin na potentially reversible? Or meron pa ba akong pwedeng gawin to support restoring the balance in our health? Karamihan sa atin as we age, parang ang mindset, and correct me if I'm wrong ang mindset natin is, may edad na ako, mag-exercise pa ba ako?
Okay, that's true.
So, minsan yon or ay, masyado na yung mabigat, hindi ko na yan kaya.
That's true.
So, ang sinasabi nila ngayon, in that field of longevity, and ang habol natin is not age span, ang habol mo ngayon is health span.
Explain.
Magkaiba yun, di ba? I think important din kasi that expectations are managed. Kasi if your expectations are very far from your current reality, then that's where frustration will come in.
Good point.
Diba? So, parang, syempre alam natin, we're also aging. So, we're not as agile or strong as when we were younger, diba? But if I know na, okay, given my current state, I still know I can do this. I still know, baka yung improvement ko, hindi ganito kalaki, pero naka-improve pa rin ako, diba? From my baseline.
This is Senior Moments with Louie Montalvo. Our next episode, we're going to talk to Dr. Tippy Tanchanco about functional medicine. This is something also relatively new for me, and hopefully with our conversation with Dr. Tippy, we'll be able to better understand what functional medicine is. Also get a sense of what actually happens to our body when we age, and why is it not enough to take our maintenance meds as a way to keep ourselves healthy? Why is lifestyle and diet an important dimension of staying healthy as we age? So, Dr. Tippy?
Hello! Magandang araw, Louie. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat.
Oh, sige.
Yes.
Ano lang,
Okay.
we'll dive right into it. And ano nga ba nangyayari sa katawan natin kapag tumatanda tayo? What happens to our body as we age? We know the wear and tear and all that.
Basically, yun nga. Wear and tear, diba?
What does that actually mean? And why does it happen when we age?
Okay. So, siguro you can approach it from different levels, 'di ba? Parang may cellular level ka, tapos syempre yung mga nararamdaman natin, no? So, cellular level, syempre nagagamit natin yung mga substrates in our body. So, pati yung halimbawa sa mga cells natin, DNA, methylation, humihina na rin siya habang tumatanda tayo. And then yung mga systems naman natin, halimbawa yung mga arteries natin, syempre dun sa mga kinakain natin, nagkakaroon ng bara, it's not as pliable na as when we are young. Mga muscles natin, lalo na pag matagal, nasa office tayo, or yun yung nature of our work before, di ba, nakaupo, pwedeng magkaroon ng tinatawag natin na sarcopenia, lumiliit yung muscle mass natin. So as we age, merong mga ganong changes na normal part naman of aging. However, with our current lifestyle and the contexts that we are in, minsan ang tanong natin, accelerate ko ba yung aging process na yan? Diba? Or, na-accelerate ba to ng environment na ginagalawan ko? Yun.
So ano parang when you talk about substrate and parang in layman's term, parang something that's invisible to it parang I can imagine we see the manifestation.
Yes.
Pero why does the body actually wear and tear as we age? Parang is it because we're not able to generate new cells or parang yung
Right. So halimbawa, example would be our mitochondria. Ang mitochondria, yan yung sinasabi nating powerhouse of our cells. It gives us energy. And as we grow older, kumukonti sila. So kumukonti sila, hindi na sila kasing lakas noong bata tayo. Kaya minsan mabilis tayo mapagod, nangangawit tayo agad, gusto natin nakaupo na lang tayo. Or pati yung the way we think. Kasi 'di ba, like thinking, learning, memorizing requires a lot of energy. So kung yung part na yon ng cell hindi na kasing lakas as dati, minsan parang ano nga ba yun? Mas mahirap nang makatanda. Or mas mahirap mag-learn ng new skills. So, minsan, yun yung nakikita natin. So, ang nakikita nga natin, tama ka, are the clinical manifestations. Pero, our behaviors or yung mga nararamdaman natin don't just happen. Meron yung mga molecular reasons. And yun yung concept of functional medicine. You have to go to root cause. Kasi, ang tanong natin, meron bang mga root causes na identify natin na potentially reversible? Or meron pa ba akong pwedeng gawin to support restoring the balance in our health, restoring the balance in the level of activities that we have? So, yun. So, parang kumbaga two things yung kailangan natin tingnan. Meron talagang normal process of aging.
Which you cannot reverse?
No, which we cannot reverse. Kasi lahat naman, di ba, may beginning and end. May birth and death. Meron namang ganon, di ba? Hindi natin ma-reverse. But, ano yung mga factors na nagpapabilis sa ating aging? Ano yung mga factors na nagpapahina sa atin as individuals?
Sige.
So, yan.
Siguro, one is, and I think this is something that as you get older, you struggle, sleep.
Okay.
Parang mas erratic ang sleeping patterns. You find yourself sleeping, dati, you can sleep for 12 hours. Ngayon, masaya ka na kung mga 5, 6, at 7 hours. And this is my, bakit?
Merong mga experts na nagsasabi na as you age, hindi necessary na umiikli ang tulog mo. So, there are factors that you have to look into. Diba? So, ano ba yung tinatawag natin na sleep hygiene? Na even if may edad na tayo, and this is not just for seniors, meron tayong mga habits that can promote good, restful, rejuvenating sleep. And yun yung kailangan natin tignan. So, meron naman kasi yung mga things that we actually take for granted, na akala natin, bawa yan, normal naman kasi na 5 hours lang ako natutulog sa gabi. Pero ang tanong doon, bakit merong ibang seniors 8 hours pa rin natutulog and they feel like okay sila, may energy sila. Kasi ayaw mo rin na oversleeping, di ba? Na okay sila paggising nila. So yun yung kailangan nating tingnan.
Sige, balikan natin yun in terms of what are the conditions that will allow us to sleep longer and sleep better. What about loss of muscles? And in many of the conversations we've had in previous episodes, parang falling is something that Dr. Eric Cinco had said, and si Dr. Shelley De La Vega also said na if there's one thing you want to avoid as you age is falling.
Yeah.
Parang, again, within our body, why is muscle loss and why is bone density, I don't know if called that way, something that naturally happens as we age?
Well, again, part siya kasi of aging. But, ito yung tanong din natin. Ito yung kailangan mo rin tingnan. 'Di ba, karamihan sa atin as we age, parang ang mindset, and correct me if I'm wrong ang mindset natin is, may edad na ako, mag-exercise pa ba ako?
Okay, that's true.
So, minsan yon or ay, masyado na yung mabigat, hindi ko na yan kaya.
That's true.
So, ang sinasabi nila ngayon, in that field of longevity, and ang habol natin is not age span, ang habol mo ngayon is health span.
Explain.
Magkaiba yon, di ba? Kasi age span, mahaba yung buhay ko. Pero, pwedeng mahaba buhay mo, pero bedridden ka na kasi nahulog ka. Diba? Or, mahaba buhay mo, pero 10 maintenance meds ang iniinom mo, diba? Hindi ka na makatravel kasi nakahook ka sa oxygen. So, ayaw mo na ganun yung magiging situation natin. Hindi lang haba ng buhay. Kaya health span, kasi gusto natin, as you age, healthy ka pa rin. You can do the things you want to do. You can reinvent yourself after retirement and take on a new hobby or have a new advocacy. Yun ang habol natin, yung health span na yun, no? So, minsan, I wonder then if it's the mindset of our seniors na sila na lang, yung mas bata na lang yung papaulift ko ng weight sa gym. Lahat na lang ng apo ko yung papabuhat ko ng grocery ko. 'Di ba? Kasi ganyan. Pero, ang gusto natin, habang medyo bata ka pa, actually, habang bata ka pa talaga, kasi yung mga diseases of yung lifestyle or yung chronic diseases natin of older age, nagsisimula yan habang bata. Meron ngang connection ngayon na parang sa womb pa lang ng nanay, pinoprogram mo na yung bata kung magkakaroon siya ng ng hypertension, ng diabetes. So lahat yan, lifespan talaga yung perspective natin. But, ang sinasabi nila, medyo bata ka pa lang, dapat nagpupundar ka na. 'Di ba? So, building your muscle. So, even for seniors, gusto natin, hindi lang cardio, hindi enough na lakad ka lang ng lakad. Kailangan mo ng resistance training. So, yung muscle building. Kailangan mo rin ng bone building exercise.
Bone building?
May bone building.
At your age, you still build bones?
Yes, you can still, or at least maintain it.
Okay.
Or bagalan mo yung proseso na nagkaka-osteopenia ka, nababawasan na yung bone matrix mo, di ba? So, ang sabi nila, halimbawa, yung pag-jump ng konti, syempre with clearance from your doctors, iba-iba na yung status natin ngayon, di ba? But, dapat may konting jumping, kaya minsan jumping rope or, di ko alam, jumping jacks. Kung ano yung kaya mo na may go signal ng inyong medical professional, yun yung pwede mong gawin. And then resistance. Kasi usually, sige, mag-walk na lang ako, okay na yan, 'di ba? So, yun yung mindset na kailangan siguro, mas aware tayo na, ay, kailangan ko pala dagdagan ito dun sa exercise time ko during the day or during the week.
Yung the last time, because we actually did a consult with you because in some of my studies, my labs are showing some diminution of my kidney function. And then you basically introduced to us the whole notion of functional medicine. And parang, I think many of our listeners are used to maintenance med for hypertension, for cholesterol, for creatinine. Okay na yon kasi kaya nga ako nag-maintenance med. So I can eat anything I want. I can do whatever I want kasi my maintenance meds should take care of my medical condition. And then, you explain to us what functional medicine is. Baka makatulong. Ano nga ba yun? And how different is that from the other types of medicine?
Yung conventional medicine. So siguro, I'll start with the usual misconception that functional medicine is an alternative form of medicine. It's actually not. It's a framework na ginagamit natin. So, meron tayong conventional medicine or yung allopathic medicine na karamihan ng mga doktor natin, yan yung training, di ba? And there's room for conventional medicine. So, kung ang
So, what's conventional medicine?
Conventional medicine is if you have hypertension, we have our usual workup. I'll give you maintenance meds na magagamit mo to control your and meron tayong mga clinical practice guidelines na kailangan nating sundan. So, on one hand, importante pa rin to. Lalo na if you have an acute condition, may pulmonya ka, kailangan mo ng antibiotics. Mag-antibiotics ka talaga. Nasa ICU ka ngayon, kailangan natin ng acute care, kailangan natin ng conventional medicine. But, dumadami kasi ngayon yung mga non-communicable lifestyle diseases natin. So, halimbawa, like hypertension, diabetes, Alzheimer's. So, kumbaga, hindi sila nakakahawa and they're there for a longer period of time. So, ang functional medicine, sinasabi na hindi enough, nabibigyan ko lang ng lunas yung mga sintomas na nakikita ko. So, it's not enough that I give you a pill for, ay masakit dito, or ganyan, diba? You have to look for root cause. Diba? It's like, halimbawa na sa company ka, merong kang problem na nag-surface, hindi lang yun yung titignan mo, di ba? Titignan mo, bakit nagkaganito? So, ang functional medicine is like that. And then, you also want to look at it from a systems perspective kasi kailangan mo i-consider yung buong tao. Hindi ka lang yung kidney mo. Hindi ka lang yung depression mo. Diba? So, anong konteksto na ginagalawa nitong taong to? Where are you right now? Kasi we'll meet you where you're at. Diba? Magsisimula ka doon. Tapos, babalikan mo pati history. Kamusta ba siya nung mas bata siya? Kasi lahat yon are factors. So, it's like peeling layers of an onion. Kaya important din yung relationship na nabubuo between you and your medical provider, your healthcare provider. So, important yung bond na yan, yung therapeutic alliance that is formed. So, functional medicine, in a way, is parang standard of care plus. You don't remove standard of care, but you look into lifestyles of food, nutrition, family dynamics.
Family dynamics.
Kasama yun, relationship. Tapos sinasabi nga namin, at the center of the matrix is your mental, emotional, spiritual health.
Talaga.
Hindi mo talaga mahihiwalay-hiwalay yun. Kasi yung iba, example lang meron kaming ibang patients, parang, sige, diarrhea, alternating with constipation. Tapos lahat, even yung conventional med, nag-steroids na gano'n, hindi gumagaling. Tapos pag-investigate mo, magkaaway pala sila nung anak niya.
Talaga.
And until we were able to resolve that, tsaka nag-begin mag-improve yung symptoms.
Kasi one would not imagine the link between constipation and relationships with significant people in your lives.
Kasi those are stressors, diba? And when you are stressed, your stress hormones become elevated. Diba? As we age, important din yung hormonal balance natin. 'Diba? So, parang everything is so intertwined. And it's not just our health, even our environment, even the planet where we live. Kasi 'di ba kaya nga kailangan may processes of detoxification that you want to support. So, kailangan pati yung exposures mo. You need to manage that.
So paano yun? Kasi for example, ako, and because I have a few maintenance meds, yung parang we're asked to go to the lab, take blood extraction, urine, fecal, and labas yung result, and based on the result, conventional medicine will say, sige, mataas ang cholesterol mo, mataas ang hypertension, may hypertension ka. For functional medicine, what kind of diagnosis, kasi parang kahit yung planet will be, parang how do you actually do some kind of baseline to be able to determine where you are in relation to all different aspects of functional? Kasi madali, blood extraction, tapos.
Yeah.
Sa inyo, how does that actually work?
Hindi lang blood extraction. So, ano ba yung usual consult natin, di ba? I'll see a doctor, bigyan ako ng lab, and then, bigyan ako ng prescription ka na, follow up ka. Sometimes, kasi parang ang gagawin namin, you'll start with history. So, re-review ko muna lahat. Kasi, di ba, minsan, ang nangyayari rin yun, especially if you're in urban areas, very specialized yung practice.
True.
Cardiologist will probably focus on the heart, your blood vessels, ganyan. So
True.
parang, at least there are some institutions na meron ka ng attending physician who will try to incorporate everything. And diba, parang follow up, whether you have acute concerns or not. So, in FM, yun yung una namin ginagawa. And then we try to place it in a matrix. We call it yung mga physiologic nodes to see where your imbalances are. Kasi pag nagkakasakit naman tayo, hindi naman ibig sabihin na sinapian ka ng spirito at nagkasakit ka.
True.
Hindi naman siya ganon, di ba? But it means that somewhere in your system, there's an imbalance. Na either kung infection yan, hindi na nakaya ng defense mo yung infection yan, kaya ka nagkasakit. Or kaya ka nagmanifest. Kasi, think of it this way. Bawa, kahit na-expose ka sa taong may sakit, may ubo, kung malakas yung immune system mo, hindi ka naman mahahawa.
That's true.
Diba? So, yun yung tatry natin because there's that imbalance that happen. We will try to support the body so that the body heals itself. Because the body has that capacity. And sometimes, a lot of times, it's removing things that will cause inflammation in your body. Inflammation can be caused by infection. It can be caused by food that you eat. It can be caused by molds dahil tumutulo yung bubong nyo, nagkaroon na ng amag, so mga toxins that are in the environment, or exposure to pesticides, exposure to your jeepney ride every day. So, marami tayong mga exposure. So, yun yung tatry natin i-address para mabalik yung balance na sinasabi natin. And that's how we do it in functional medicine. So sometimes we're not really too hot on a diagnosis kasi halimbawa, diabetes, your Alzheimer's can both be caused by inflammation in your gut. Doon nagsisimula. So, yun yung titignan natin. Tapos isipin mo, di ba, parang ang layo naman ng tiyan ko.
Parang ang layo.
Parang ang layo ng tiyan ko sa brain ko, sa but it's actually all interrelated. Kaya nga, di ba ngayon, yung concept of that leaky gut na napapasok lahat ng mga antigens that's causing your inflammation, your body to react, parang systemic the way it will react. Hindi naman yun mag-stay lang in your gut, di ba? Kasi may circulatory system ka, meron kang lymphatic system. Iikot talaga yan.
Sige, when we talked about my own condition, one of the primary takeaways na nakuha ko is really changing my own diet. And parang, kasi dati I was not mindful. Yung usual, Pinoy ka maalat, matamis, kanin ulam, karne, baboy, canned goods, processed food like
Lechon? Hotdog.
the hotdog,
Luncheon
tocino, luncheon meat, and all that. Then after our conversation, yung parang, because nga I needed to be more mindful to take care of particularly my kidney, you really told me what to cut off.
So ano na kinakain mo ngayon?
Oats.
Ooh, okay.
Oo.
Gulay,
Ano yun?
dumami ba?
Not as much. Fruits.
Getting there.
Getting there. Pero yung parang mas malinaw sa akin what not to eat. So parang And I was telling you kanina before we started na ayun, with my baseline, there's some level of improvement with my kidney function. Why is diet, why is it important to be very mindful of what we put into our body? Kasi yung parang, yun nga, parang, kaya nga ako nag-maintenance para makakain ako ng lechon. But why, why is diet a very important dimension of functional medicine?
Okay. Kasi, well, di ba, we get our energy from food.
Okay.
Di ba? So, ang sinasabi, like ko nga sinasabi sa mga, well, kids kasi, di ba, pediatrician ako. Pero, junk food is not food. It's junk. Di ba? Parang, okay. And ano yung nasa classification natin of junk food? Kasama dyan, chips, your soda, your juices. Tapos, ang kailangan mo pang tignan, yung mga hidden sugars natin. And sometimes, it's in your teriyaki sauce. It's in the, kung saan sa usawan natin. So, yan yung mga hidden sugars natin, di ba? And why is it important? Kasi, our bodies will have certain food sensitivities. And if you have food sensitivities, then again, you'll have inflammation. So, you have to remember that your gut is actually very important. Kasi kung marami kang inflammation, imagine mo, cells lang yan eh. Hindi naman yung parang isang buong thing, di ba? Kung halimbawa may inflammation ka, naghihiwalay-hiwalay yan. Tapos pumapasok yung mga big proteins na nagre-react. So, nagiging systemic ngayon yung inflammation mo. Di ba? And because your gut's important, so example lang, your gut is where you make some neurotransmitters that's important for brain memory, for mood regulation. Sabi nila mga 70% of your dopamine, your serotonin is made in the gut.
Wow. Really?
Diba? So if your gut's not healthy, diba? Kaya nga minsan yung mga may IBS, yung alternating diarrhea, constipation, may anxiety sila, may depression sila. Or conversely, parang makikita mo yung mga, sometimes individuals with anxiety, parang may sumasakit lagi tiyan ko, takbo ko lagi sa banyo. Before I give a talk, parang, di ba, parang kumukulo yung tiyan mo, and ano, kasi nga, they're all, like, interconnected. Di ba? So, yun yung, we have to be mindful. And I think yung main difference lang na we have to all start with is to bring it to your consciousness and your mindset na, oh, baka kasi we take a lot of things for granted. But if someone mentions it, parang, okay, now I'll pay attention to reading the labels, picking what I get from the grocery.
So, why does, for example, I said, I've taken out pork and beef, I've taken out processed foods from my diet, and more, as you said, more fish, more chicken, less fry, more boiled and all that.
Galing, ganun ka na kumain yan. Okay.
Isa ko lang napansin since I started, about a month and a half ago. Kasi I think part of what I learned is may palate, may tongue. Ngayon, may konting asin, naalatan ako. I think, so parang...
Nag-change din, no?
And so parang I cannot eat anything that's, I would have probably tolerated salty food.
Or enjoyed.
Parang ngayon, I actually refuse it if it's too salty, if it's too sweet.
Okay.
After just about a month of changing my diet. So parang yung tanong nga, yung ganun, why would a change in diet actually improve my overall condition?
Right. So siguro una muna, they say that your taste buds will change after mga 3 months. So ikaw 1 month, makikita mo na yung change. Kaya even for people na sabihin nila, hindi ako sanay kumain ng gulay. Diba? If you make it available, yun lang nga. You have to really make an effort to make it available during your meals. Diba? And yung pinggang Pinay natin, yung healthy plate is half the plate should be your vegetables and your fruits.
Half the plate should be
half the plate. So bilog yan, diba? So mas maraming vegetables over fruits, 1/4 protein, 1/4 grains or yung mga rice natin or carbs, diba? Yan ang pinggang Pinoy. And that's DOH recommendation that you follow this. And if you follow that, kahit na meat eater ka dati, nag-iiba yung panlasa mo, yung preference mo, pwedeng mag-iba. Kaya nga iba na dati, favorite ko steak. 'Di ba na ganyan, parang after a while, parang hindi ko na siya ma-tolerate. Or hindi ko na siya preferred na food. So nakita natin yung ganong changes. Pero ano lang siguro pa-flag ko lang din, ang gusto natin is a more plant-based diet. But your meat sources are still important kasi protein, yun ang best form of protein pa rin natin na medyo mahirap makuha yung protein requirement if you just depend on plants kasi. So, important pa rin, no? But, you choose the quality of your meat. So, they say that beef is very inflammatory. So, yun ang gusto natin avoid. Yung mga things that will cause inflammation. So kaya avoid muna ng beef, ng pork. Ang chicken, kung pwedeng free range kasi maraming hormones, antibiotics yung chicken natin. So yung healthier choices, kung kaya, sometimes it's a little more expensive kasi 'di ba organic na. So pipiliin natin, 'di ba? Or sabihin nila organic. Meron tayong dirty dozen na kailangan ideally organic, but the rest of the food na bibilin mo hindi naman kailangan organic. So meron tayong ganun. So to go to your question, ano nga ba yung question mo?
Hindi, why does a change of diet actually improve gut condition?
Kasi you decrease the inflammation.
You decrease
diba?
the
So
inflammation.
dahil you decrease the bad things that you're putting in, you're giving your body enough time to heal. And then sometimes we give you supplements to heal the gut. Diba? O halimbawa,
What is that?
kasi diba, kung inflamed siya, how do you make the gut heal? So, one is, tatanggalin ko yung mga nag-a-attack sa kanya, but tinutulungan ko siya mag-heal. So, paano yun? Yung iba, meron tayong bibigay na glutamine. Kung halimbawa, meron tayong mga supplements, so zinc, yung mga vitamins and minerals natin, you can take that. Or, for some people na parang laging ginagastritis, okra water, yung mga alugbati, yung mga malaway na na mga gulay kasi it lines your intestinal tract. So minsan merong mga ganung techniques or recommendations that your health provider can give you.
For those of us who want to lessen our maintenance would a better diet actually improve?
I would think so. Pero it's a lot of things. So it's not just diet. Important yung exercise.
Sige. So okay, diet tayo.
Diet will help. Yes.
And then let's go to physical activity, exercise. Parang you've already mentioned about.
Yep. And wait and some people are so averse to the term exercise. So ang gusto natin is really movement.
Okay.
Diba? Kasi iba exercise, pagod na.
Punta ka ng gym.
Oh, yeah. Ayoko mag-gym. So parang, ano yung pwede mong gawin?
Okay.
Diba?
That's a good reframing.
Oo. So, movement. Ano ibig sabihin nito? Can I use the stairs instead of the elevator in my workplace? Or, can I park the car a block away going to church?
Be deliberate about those.
diba?
Give yourself the reason and the opportunity to
Correct,
move.
diba? So, medyo malayong parking, lalakad ako, ganyan, diba? So, parang, ano yung small things that I can do to modify my current lifestyle? So, but yun nga, you have to be ting-ding-ding yung antena mo, parang, ano kayang pwede kong gawin? Ano ba yung situation ko? Kasi lahat tayo, iba-iba naman yung life situations natin, diba? So, babagayan lang natin.
Ako napansin ko because nga, last year, for the first time in my life, 5-kilometer run ako.
Wow!
And I finished 5 kilometers initially, mga almost an hour. Ngayon, I'm able to run it a little more than 40 minutes.
Ang galing.
Oo.
How do you feel after yun? Important?
One thing I noticed is that my lung capacity has improved. Dati, hingal.
Okay.
Ngayon, it's really more of the mental, kasi I'm training for 10 kilometers in October. But I feel that even my leg muscles have improved, my lung capacity has improved.
Yeah.
Yun,
And mind you, you're already a senior, right?
63.
So, di ba, kahit na senior ka, you can feel all of these changes happening.
Actually, I
diba?
was surprised. Akala ko nga na, matanda ka na. No, that's true. Actually, it has improved. I would initially parang, hindi na. Kasi tanggapin mo na your capacity, na hihingalin ka, that you cannot grow muscles or make them stronger. That was actually not the case.
It will probably take a longer time and more effort for people our age, no? But the thing is, meron ka pang magagawa.
Meron ka pang
Diba?
magagawa.
Hindi siguro kasing bilis nung 20-year-old.
Ayaw naman.
But, diba? So, kaya parang dapat hopeful pa rin na laging, okay, there's still something else. There's something more, magis.
No, totoo yun. Kasi parang, I will not compete with a 35-year-old guy who can run it at 5.2 kilometers per hour. Parang, no matter how much I'll try, I won't. But that's not the point.
Right.
Yung parang ang sa akin, I'm really competing with myself to be able to increase the length and the speed by which I'm running. And the endorphin, after running, I could actually feel
You feel
that.
the energy.
Yeah.
Pati yung stabilizing your mood.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Pati mind mo, di ba? Minsan,
Yeah.
feel sharper and you can do more things.
So yun, movement, deliberate. What about yung increasing your muscle mass or strengthening your muscles and your bones? Parang parang people might say, ayokong punta ng gym, bibili pa ako ng weights, bibili pa ako ng
Eh, di
dumbbell.
wag ka pumunta sa gym. Pwede naman like, halimbawa, ito nga yung secret ko. Pag gising ko sa umaga, naka-pajama pa ako, doon ako mag-exercise muna sa bedroom ko. And that works naman. 'Di ba? If kung ano yung
May equipment ka?
Meron na akong free weight sa bahay na or you start with your body weight kasi. Kahit wala kang equipment, halimbawa couch potato ka, from zero exercise, edi start mo yung body weight mo. 'Di ba? Pwede ka bang, sige, kahit na yoga or some calisthenics that you can do. You start with that. And kung titignan mo kasi, ang seniors natin, bakit sila nagkaka-fall? Kasi wala silang training for agility. Aside from yung muscle, So the way you will break your fall, the way you will move side to side, tayo lahat kasi ang lakad natin paharap lang, 'di ba? Pag nahulog ka, hindi ka naman, pwede ka mahulog paharap, pero 'di ba minsan, ay nadulas ako, or ay ganun, tas hindi ka na as quick dun sa mga reflexes mo. So, yun din yung advantage ng exercise. Kasi kung pinapractice mo yung mga weird movements na hindi mo usually gagawin on a like regular lakad basis, 'di ba?
So it's also parang being mindful that kung wala ka pang weights or equipment, you find other ways to increase to your muscle
Yep.
mass.
Or halimbawa, carrying your grocery. Mula kotse mo papasok sa loob ng bahay, hindi ko na may buhat. 'Di ba? And that's easily 2 kilos siguro or 1 kilo per hand. And then you start with that and then lakad mo. 'Di ba? So ano yung pwede
Instead of
mong
getting a cart
i-incorporate?
and pushing it.
Instead of getting a cart, instead of
Asking
asking your
someone.
kasambahay to carry it for you, 'di ba? Baka pwede naman, o sige. Tapos ako ang gusto ko kasi kailangan functional. Kasi pag halimbawa paulit-ulit lang na dumbbells and parang this is so
Sama.
boring. At saka kaya hindi ako pwede mag-run kasi parang paulit-ulit at tagal-tagal. Yung oras ako tumatakbo. But if maglalakad ako papunta sa grocery, sa simbahan, sa ganyan, may purpose yung
Oo nga.
ginagawa ko, 'di ba? So, pwedeng 'yon or naka-backpack ako habang naglalakad, 'di ba? So, added weight, ilang percent 'yan of my body weight. So, 'yan yung parang nilalakad ko na rin.
Okay, so it's really being able to find ways to incorporate it in your
In
routine
your daily life.
so that it
Right.
doesn't add, parang wala na akong, okay,
Correct.
that
Or
makes
even
sense.
doing your laundry. 'Di ba? Parang, okay, ako magbubuhat nito, saan ba yung washing machine ko? Tapos pag sorting, you really bend, and 'di ba?
So all of those small things.
Small things. And minsan, baka naman ginagawa mo na, nag-garden ka o naka-squat ka dyan, tas tumatayo ka. Baka naman ginagawa mo na yon regularly. 'Di ba? And parang, nag-exercise pala ako kasi I tend to my plants. I take care of my pet. I carry my apo. So, baka naman nandyan na rin yung mga movements na yon.
Sige, so diet and then physical exercise, movement. The other one that you mentioned is about mental health, psychological. In one episode, we had a very good discussion about as you age, the sense of loss and grieving becomes, you lose people, you lose friends, you lose your career, you lose your children, and our two guests very in a very good manner discussed the process of grieving and why it's important to grieve and to acknowledge your loss, to allow yourself to be broken so that you can be whole again and find meaning in your new reality. Yun, and how Ishir said that's a very important dimension as far as functional medicine is concerned. Parang what's your thought? Kasi I think minsan masungit na matanda or dahil yung parang hindi tumanda ng maayos or yung tumanda ng pataliko, yung parang
Ako ang tatanungin ko doon is why? Bakit? 'Di ba? Parang ano kaya, halimbawa, mayroon ba tong unresolved trauma na umabot sila ng ganong stage in their life na okay, may history na unresolved or may family dynamics na binabalikan. Hindi ako grief expert or no, but I do see the point na sometimes it's actually how do I reframe my mindset? Like, what are things, ako kasi I would say I'm a very like positive person na okay. And ako nga parang excited din ako about my retirement eh. Not because umawala na akong trabaho, umawala na akong sweldo, but because ano yung pwede kong gawin after? Na, okay, I know I will have to give this up. But now that I have that space, what can I bring in? Diba? Or what else can I like do? Diba? So, ako parang, that's how I will reframe it. And that's why in functional medicine, sometimes we need the help of health coaches. We need the help of psychologists or mga talk therapists natin. Kasi nga, we have to address all of those like issues na you've been taking for granted. Diba? Na ngayon na mas may quiet time ka, nagre-resurface. Diba? And sometimes, yun yung kailangan mong unahin. Even before you can address your hypertension or your diabetes or lahat ng mga aches and pains mo or fatigue. Chronic fatigue is also very
really?
common.
Why does one's mental and emotional state, why does that get translated to a physical condition? Parang from what I'm hearing, if you don't, you need to deal with your mental health, with your emotional state, rather than just take the meds for your physical condition.
Kailangan sabay.
What's the connection between one's emotional and mental condition to physical? Parang,
Yeah. So, una-una nga, parang your mental state is not just because may behavior ako or may anxiety ako that happened. There are molecular bases to it. So, the fact that it's molecular, it brings it to your physical state as well.
okay.
Diba? And all those chemicals nga in your physical state affect your mental health. And it happens like vice versa.
So your mental health can also affect your molecular state.
It affects your molecular state. So, halimbawa, if you're always in your sympathetic state, I'm gonna be harmed. What am I gonna do tomorrow? Parang hyper alert ka. Lagi ka nasa sympathetic state. Kung nasa sympathetic state ka, wala kang rest and digest mode. 'Di ba? So, kasi elevated yung cortisol mo, yung mga stress hormones mo, nandyan. And all of these are inflammatory. So, kaya lalang may masakit, frozen shoulder ko, masakit likod ko, sakit ulo ko. So, meron kang mga ganong pwede mo rin maramdaman. Kasabay nung anxiety mo, kasabay nung depression mo, or kung hindi man siya a formal diagnosis, parang it's a state na parang I am not as energetic, I'm not as happy as I was 10 years ago. Ganun.
So parang what you're saying is that no matter what you do with your body, physical body, it will not be enough if you don't take care of whatever is causing you stress at your mental and psycho-emotional.
Right. Or siguro hindi naman it will not be enough, but kasi yung ibang tao, happy na sila with 80% of diba? And for them, it's enough. And that's good din naman, diba? But is there a way of optimizing your health? Diba? And that will include looking at the whole person, the whole you, including your contexts.
Part of it, I think, is also, and in our other episodes, yung based on what, especially when we're having an episode, taking care of our elderly parent, yung the sense of control. Parang sometimes as you get older, you feel when you're younger, everything is within your control, or you have the semblance of being in control. But as you grow older, parang more and more you feel that control is being taken away from you. So that sense of autonomy, at some level, if you are not mindful, gets diminished. Parang, and hindi ko alam how much of that is also impacting the psychological and mental well-being of someone who's entering their senior years, of how to you retain a certain sense of autonomy and control in your lives if you feel that everything seems to be taken away from you.
Ako, agree ako dyan. Wala akong very clear-cut answers or ano. But I think important din kasi that expectations are managed. Kasi if your expectations are very far from your current reality, then that's where frustration will come
Good
in.
point.
Diba? So, parang, syempre alam natin, we're also aging. So, we're not as agile or strong as when we were younger, di ba? But if I know na, okay, given my current state, I still know I can do this. I still know, baka yung improvement ko, hindi ganito kalaki, pero naka-improve pa rin ako, di ba? From my baseline.
Oo nga, ano.
Then, yun yung expectation ko. Hindi ko expect na ako'y maging world heavy lifter. Diba?
Okay.
Parang world champion heavy lifter. So I think it's also managing expectations that's appropriate for this life
Okay.
stage. So,
Doon sa the other one is sleep. And I have not really done a good review of my own. Only,
meron ka smartwatch, oh.
I know, pero minsan ko yung sinusuot. And also because, yun,
Daming excuse. Okay.
what will help an elder person, senior, to have optimal sleeping situation?
Okay.
Kasi nabanggit mo about light and
Yes.
where you sleep and
Yep.
who you sleep with and all that.
Right. So, ang secret dyan ay good sleep hygiene. And what do we mean by sleep hygiene? So, ang sinasabi nila una, regardless of whether weekday or weekend, dapat same yung habits. Hindi kasi minsan, weekend naman.
You sleep in.
Oo, I sleep in, I sleep late, kasi weekend naman. So, kailangan pantay-pantay. So, whether child or adult, yun yung gusto natin. And then, establish your bedtime habits. And ako, parang bad habits din. But if you can keep your cell phones out of the bedroom, kasi blue light yan, so you don't want that kind of exposure right before sleep. Sabi nila ba, an hour or two, wala ka ng digital anything. So, gadgets, YouTube, Netflix. Iba kasi pampatulog ang
Oo
TV, meron background noise. Ang gusto mo kasi is talagang blackout curtains, wala talagang ilaw. Kasi doon lumalabas yung mga sleep hormones natin. 'Di ba? And our body has the capacity to produce melatonin and yung sleep hormone natin. So, pero, yun nga, again, mindful decision, di ba? Na, yung charger ko, ilalagay ko outside my room. It's not beside my bed. Yung,
Guilty.
I will get blackout curtains kasi minsan even the light sa kalye, pumapasok, light ng kapitbahay ko,
True.
masyadong bright.
True.
So, pwede ba
So the darker the room, the better.
pitch black dapat
Pitch
pag
black.
natutulog ka. Pitch black. Tapos, kailangan mas malamig. Di ba? Hindi pwedeng
What's a good
mainit.
temperature?
I'm not sure kung ano. Basta, kailangan comfortable. Mga 23, yung iba 22 degrees, yung aircon. Yung magkukumot ka ng konti, yun yung gusto natin. Hindi ka pinapawisan, di ba? Yung iba, ayaw nila magkumot. Pero, dapat mas malamig. Kasi the colder hindi naman sobrang cold, but a cool room will help facilitate your sleep. Mas tuloy-tuloy yung tulog mo. Ano pa ba?
Yung and I know, you wake up in the middle of the night kasi you need to pee.
Wiwi ka na.
Wiwi ka na. And then, for some reason, and I've read, you wake up at 3 a.m. consistently.
Oh,
and it's a good thing if you're able to sleep again. But hindi ko alam, kasi when we were young, you can sleep through the night and you wake
Right.
up in the morning.
Minsan
Pero
yan
pag
yung
tumatanda, parang merong...
magigising ka na at 3, diba? Or kailangan mo na talaga magwiwi
Oo.
at 3 a.m. So, physiologic need yun. Ayaw mo naman mag-pee on the bed, diba? So, but ang tanong ko na, anong gagawin mo after? Magising ka, wiwi ka, babalik ka ba sa bed? Exactly. Kasi nandyan yung phone. Sino nag-message sa akin? Ano ko pa doon sasawa? Ay, sagutin ko.
Before you know it, alas 4 na.
Diba? So, again, habit pa rin.
Ako napansin ko, when I go back, kasi for me, parang, it disturbs me if I see what time it is. Kasi bibilangin ko, ilang oras pa ba bago mag-sunrise at kailangan ko gumising.
Okay.
So sa akin, ang isang natutunan ko, I won't even look at my cell phone because it's still beside me. Sorry, bad habit. But I don't look at my cell phone because then I realize if I do that, I'm able to sleep right away.
Better. Good. That's being mindful na, okay, this habit is serving me well. So, yun yung tutuloy mo. 'Di ba? Or, pwede ba like meron ka lang clock, hindi cellphone yung titignan mo because it's so tempting na, okay, there are like other like apps that you can check if you wake up. If you just want the time. 'Di ba? But why do you need the time? Listen to your body. If your body is still pagod, hindi matulog ako
Matulog
ulit.
ulit.
Hindi yun based on anong oras na ba sarili ko.
So it's natural for people who are old to actually have that kind of break in their sleep.
Not for all. So I guess I
really?
will say it's physiologic. So halimbawa, sa males, pag nagsa-start ka na siguro, yung mga prostate concerns na, okay, hindi ko na empty well kasi before I go to sleep, 'di ba? So, kailangan ko gumising para mag-pee.
So is there a particular don't drink, don't eat how many minutes or hours before? For example, if you sleep at 10 or at 11, parang when should be your last drink or last meal?
Okay, 10, 11, minsan medyo late yan Kasi parang what they say is you compute backwards. If you need 8 hours of sleep, you wake up at 8, then sige, sleep at 12. But if you need to wake up at 6, then you sleep at 10. So parang gagawin mo backwards yun, di ba? So yun. Ang sinasabi nila kasi, gusto mo rin ma-follow, our body has its circadian rhythm. Meron siyang mga rhythms yung body natin. And pagdating sa gabi, gusto mo yung cortisol mo medyo pababa na.
Pababa na.
Hindi ka na rin kakain ng kakain. Pag ano. So yung iba sinasabi nila, at least a 3-hour window na hindi ka kakain
3 hour?
ng inom. Sabi nila, na before you sleep.
Mahirap naman, gutom naman ako.
Kasi di ba nagme-midnight snack ka? But it's not for everyone because if you have diabetes, na hindi kakain before sleep, baka mag-hypoglycemia ka pag tulog mo. So, I would say go to your healthcare provider and ask the recommendations of your healthcare providers.
Yeah, correct. Parang ang ano nun is when you go to your healthcare provider is not just anong iinumin kong gamot. Part of the conversation is all of these dimensions, even sleep.
Kaya nga ang tawag natin sa kanya is modifiable lifestyle.
Sorry again?
Modifiable lifestyle changes. Yan yung mga gusto
Modifiable
mo, diba?
lifestyle
Modifiable,
changes.
that means you're in control. You can make choices, diba? But lifestyle, kasi it's how you live. It's how you do your day-to-day thing.
But that also assumes that your healthcare provider has a holistic perspective of one's health and well-being.
I think more and more, lalo na nutrition, I think like healthcare providers have that. We have a little training about it in medical school, in Ateneo, or like changing the curriculum to involve more nutrition and lifestyle hours. But siguro if your healthcare provider will not volunteer this information, then why don't you ask? Diba? Kasi mapipilitan naman sila. And then parang you bring it to their consciousness.
Okay.
More and more patients are asking me about exercise. Let me read on it, diba?
Okay.
So,
So
it's a partnership. You should view your healthcare providers as a partner, but you need to empower yourself in terms of
asking the questions,
reading. Diba? Nakaka-overwhelm ang Google, ang ChatGPT ngayon. Diba? But that's why you have your healthcare providers then to counter-check and to help you sift through the data that you will see online.
Sige, diet, movement and not exercise, sleep, and then mental well-being.
Stress, kasama dyan, stress, mental well-being.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else do we need?
And yung last is relationships.
Ako,
Kasama yan sa mga modifiable lifestyle factors. Yan yung sinasabi sa...
change of partner ba yun? Sorry.
Wala sinabi ganyan!
Can you explain? No, I think...
Relationships, kasi they can...
Parang, when you say modifiable, parang, what is it about relation?
You want to see if this is a supportive relationship or if it's something that's not enabling you to be a better version of yourself. Diba? So, important din yan kasi as I mentioned earlier, yan yung possible sources natin of either support or stress. Diba? Hindi ko man sinasabing change your partner, but how you react to your partner is something that's within your control.
Rather than changing how your partner behaves.
Diba? Hindi naman ikaw yun diba? Kahit you can nag all you want, but wala hindi naman siya But ikaw, how do you react to it? Pwede mo ba i-box yan? Okay, I'm just gonna do something here.
Okay.
So yeah.
Now I
But
understand.
relationships are really important kasi they support your well-being. Or if it's a toxic relationship, your boss na parang, or yung anak mo na walang ginawa kundi magnag. I love you, nanay. But parang, yeah, kasi sometimes makulit ako sa nanay ko. But yeah, alam naman niya, love ko siya.
No, for example, I'm still raising my 13-year-old son, and teenage years, alam mo naman how stressful that can be.
How do you react?
No, I've learned how to I think I've become more, hindi ko siya sasabayan. Parang for me to be able to deal with him when he's stressed, I need to find my calm.
Yep.
And sa akin, it's something that I'm learning.
So what do you do to calm yourself?
I've parang, don't take everything personal.
Okay.
Yung parang, he has his own shit going on.
Yeah.
At yung parang, that's his and this is mine. Kasi nakapansin ko din, if I'm not calm and I'm stressed, it also aggravates his condition.
Yep. Yep.
But it also helps me deal with my ability to be calm and learning how to choose your battles. Yung more mindful. Kasi dati, reactive ako. Ngayon, I think there's a greater capacity to decide na sandali.
Yeah.
I need to take care of myself in that fashion to be able to help him deal with this.
Right, right. And that's good. So parang that's our concept, that's the concept of regulation. And especially if you have younger kids na a lot of our children will co-regulate with us.
That's, I noticed that.
So if galit ka, parang, galit siya. Tas, okay, sasabog na World War III. Pag sinabayan mo yung galit, no? But, galit siya, and you remain calm, ganyan. Parang makikita mo siya rin.
For example, sa akin dati, parang before, parang malate lang siya sa school, galit na galit ako. Parang at certain point, parang the world will not end if he gets to be late.
Choose your battles.
Choose your
diba?
battles.
Parang meron ka talagang, anong negotiable, anong non-negotiable. Siyempre may non-negotiable
Meron,
pa rin.
meron
diba?
pa rin.
Yeah.
Oh, but even that, I think, is a learning curve on my part on this is a non-negotiable, but how do I manage myself to be able to communicate with him that this is not, rather than scream at the top of my voice each and every time.
Yes.
So ulit, so diet, movement, mental condition, relationship, may
Stress.
sleep.
So, mental health and stress, magkasama yan, your relationships and sleep.
The last one is the environment, or parang that's not within our control. Parang how do you...
In a way it is. In a way it is. Kasi, di ba, what do you surround yourself with? Like, how is your living environment? If your home is full of clutter, di ba, pati yung thinking space mo.
To clutter?
Well, that's my perception. Kasi 'di ba pag halimbawa punong-puno ng gamit na it's all over the place, that aggravates your stress. It increases your stress level. Or halimbawa,
So decluttering.
I think there's may joy sa decluttering na dapat nangyayari. So, kasama yan. Kasama din yung, okay, making your home something that you will look forward to at the end of the day. Diba? Na, okay, I have my own corner. Dito, kailangan ko ng pampalamig lang ng ulo na dito ako. Or kailangan ko ng safe environment. Safety is important, diba? I have a safe environment where I can walk around the block without being mugged. So, important din yun, diba? So, those sorts of things, diba? Plus, plastic cups. So, babalik ako sa environment natin. Your plastic, may BPA, these are endocrine disruptors. So, where do you store your food?
Yeah, you mentioned dapat not plastic, dapat glass.
Diba? Don't microwave plastics. Kung pwedeng, don't microwave at all. Diba? So, pati yun. And in a way, you're taking care of our planet. Using recyclable things and so, lahat tayo interconnected talaga.
Ako napansin ko, I've become more deliberate is during the day, kasi after I wake up, and also because our house in Taytay has a nice view. I open the window and open the curtain to let the sun in.
Yeah.
Because it
That's
also
important.
helps
Yeah.
in terms of air circulation, making the air within my room.
Sunshine. Diba? Parang all of those things.
Okay. Sige, any last for those of us who are very much interested in our talk about function medicine, how do they pursue this conversation so that it becomes more individualized for them?
Yeah, I would say parang the trick is to educate ourselves, diba? And being open to this kind of framework kasi it's there, diba? And a lot of times, diba, parang if you ask a question, then it like makes you a little more curious to investigate some more. And then talk to your healthcare provider about it. And there are now more and more circles where you can have conversations. Yun. But siguro, it's always important to look at a person as a whole being and not just fragmented parts. Diba? And that's what we want. So we're all in this together as a community and as a whole planet.
Okay. Thank you very much, Tippy. for no really, and I think part of why we had really tried to have this is because in our last consult with you, to my mind, it really made a difference. So and it's not as if
Hindi dahil friend kita. Hindi dahil friend kita.
hindi
kaya
dahil sa
sinabi
friend
to.
kita. And it's not as if naman lahat nung nagawa ko na, but getting there.
Yeah. The process is important, 'di ba? Kahit tiny step, micro goals at a time, I think that's important.
Based on my own personal experience after having that conversation with Dr. Tippy Tanchanco, it has a significant benefit on my part to take on functional medicine as an important framework and paradigm for my overall well-being as I enter into my senior years. And this particular episode is really our way of inviting all of you to take a look at that functional medicine as a framework for mental and overall well-being. There are a lot of materials out there on the internet for you to take a look at. But if you are interested to talk to Dr. TP a little bit more about that for an individual consult, you can always drop us a line. So maraming salamat. This is Senior Moments with Louie Montalvo, diving into the mysteries of the later years. Thank you.